Country Media Award and welcome to my review for No One Lives. It's a little independent film that I saw yesterday starring Luke Evans from Fast and Furious 6 and yeah, this is a pretty fun movie. I really got a kick out of it. I had some fun times with it for sure. So let's talk about No One Lives. Why did you black out the sun? This film was directed by the same guy who did The Midnight Meat Train, a film which I own in my collection also. I felt it was a pretty entertaining movie, it had a good concept, lots of good gory violence in it for sure. And if you're a fan of that type of stuff, you know, gory violence and cool death scenes and stuff like that, you're definitely going to kick out of this movie. It is not for the faint of hearted. It does kind of push the limits in some bits, but it's got that kind of really cool factor to it. If you're a fan of the collector or the collection, you're definitely going to enjoy this movie for what it is, in terms of, you know, cinematography, characters, you know, traps and death scenes, stuff like that. It's got that kind of fun factor to it, not taking itself too seriously, a little over the top in some of the deaths, but generally a really fun movie. The story for this month was a young couple that are relocated to a different location. They stop at a nearby hotel and they go to this kind of steakhouse, and they're interrupted by this kind of, you know, local gang that are basically intimidating them, kind of thing. One thing leads to another, and before they know it, they were both kidnapped and you know, to take their possessions and belongings, stuff like that. But what they don't realise is that the actual main guy they have kidnapped is a serial killer. And that concept right there is freaking awesome. They find a young girl in the back of the trunk and they think, what the heck is going on here? Something's not quite right. And yeah, they've kidnapped the wrong person for sure. And from that point on, it basically just goes into like a fun roller coaster ride. For an hour and a half movie, I felt this was pretty fast paced. If you're a fan of the collection, you will realise how fast-paced tone that movie was in terms of how quickly it was moving in terms of the story and getting to the main plot. This movie does not piss around. It takes enough time to get enough character development between, of course, our main characters, you know, from the gang, from the actual Luke Evans' character, and just the victims also. And then it gets straight into the actual movie. You know, it doesn't piss around. It kills off characters quite quickly, because it would do. He wouldn't taunt them for, you know, ever, that kind of thing. He would get straight into it, get stuck in it, and all that type of stuff. And I thought that was really cool. I thought the pacing of the movie was really appropriately well done. You know, it went quite quickly, as an hour and a half movie should do, and I was pretty satisfied for sure. Luke Evans as a bad guy is great. I loved him in Fast and Furious 6, and of course he's doing The Crow now, which I've actually got more respect for him now, and I'm actually thinking he's going to do a really good role on that for sure. So I was very sceptical in some places, but after seeing this movie, I think he can do a really good job. I believed him as an actual kind of nutter, but even in this movie, he actually brought a depth to the character. He wasn't just a typical, you know, I'm a serial killer kind of thing. He was intelligent, he was athletic, he had like an arsenal of weapons. There's one scene in which reminded me of the collection so much, picking out shotguns and weapons and gears and stuff like that. He sets booby traps all over the place, and I love the dialogue that he speaks to the victims and stuff like that. And I like the actual one or two of the twists in the actual movie. There is some kind of minor ones in it, which actually makes you go, ooh, that's interesting, and kind of thing. And he's not the typical kind of serial killer if you think about it. But I'm not going to say too much for spoiler reasons. I'm glad the actual ending didn't go the way I think he was going to, because there was a point where I'm thinking, yeah, this is going to happen, and it actually didn't do that. So I was actually kudos for the writer for actually taking the more high ground and giving us a nice, good close-off ending kind of thing. So, I mean, if they wanted to do a sequel, I suppose they could do, but I don't think they would, in all fairness. I think it's a one-off, fun movie to watch. The acting and the performances in this movie I felt was really well done by Luke Evans and the actual entire cast, even some of the gang. Each had a personality, each had their own kind of presence on screen. I felt they reacted the way I think most people would do. I mean, it's interesting to see, you know, common criminals in a sense versus an actual serial killer. So it's criminals versus criminals while victims in the middle of it. I quite like the idea of that, and it's an interesting idea to who to kind of root for in this sense. Are you rooting for the actual not a serial killer? Are you rooting for the local gang assholes in a sense, or are you rooting for the victim in a sense? You know, there's different characters, different kind of personalities to get yourself into and really invest in time and effort into it. And by the end of it, I wasn't sure. To be honest, I was more rooting for the actual serial killer fans, because I just thought he was badass, and I like how he approached certain things. There's one or two scenes in it which actually did make me laugh, and just the actual how he went about it I thought was quite funny. He has a couple of one-liners in it which I actually thought was like, actually that was pretty funny. The death scenes in this movie are really over the top and just, you know, very typical kind of Saw or Collection type-esque type feel. Some of the traps he sets up I felt were believable in some way. Some of the things he does, the torture scenes he does in some places, some of the deaths are really well done. I felt perfectly honest, lots of glory, lots of practical effects. No, not too much CGI, but I felt it was, each death most of the time was very personal, very hands-on kind of thing, you know. When he was killing you, he was killing you. So overall, this was a really fun movie to sink your teeth into, you know, just sit back and enjoy. If you're a fan of the Collection and Saw, then you're definitely going to get this movie straight away. It's got a good protagonist character with the actual Luke Evans being a serial killer. You got the gang characters, and you got a main female, you know, protagonist, you know, trying to defeat him, and you know, the victim of him in a sense. Fun traps, fun deaths, fun characters, interesting personalities, characters that you would root for, characters that you suppose you wouldn't root for in a sense. Good ending also, really like the ending. Good soundtrack in places. Yeah, just a fun movie. No One Lives is a really entertaining movie from start to finish, and I had a blast with it. I'll definitely buy it on Blu-ray or DVD at some point. Don't get me wrong, it's not the best movie I've ever seen. It's just a very, just a fun ride from start to finish. It knows who it wants to be, and it does it very, very well. So please go and check this out and have some fun with it. So No One Lives has been my review. Hope you enjoy watching this video. Comment down below. What do you think? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad? So in the meantime, Andrew from Media from Game TV. Signing out.